Well, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't a commercial fishing opener, so it doesn't matter if we set a little early. It's a rare opportunity to do that, and I think we'll take advantage of it. We're ready to go here. I got John Campbell, who's come to us from Rhode Island, where last year about this time he was inducted into the Rhode Island Music Hall of Fame. So,
and I still have to buy my coffee.
Yeah, well, out here, yeah, even in Rhode Island. Anyway, yeah, it's been a couple of years since John's been out here. We're just really thrilled that he's come back and joined his community out here in Astoria, where he's starting to feel kind of at home. So, ladies and gentlemen, John Campbell.
Don't be too hasty with your applause. Wait till you see what I do. Yeah, I haven't been to Astoria in a couple of years, and now I'm sitting here saying, geez, why'd I stay away so long, you know? Things happen. So I'm going to start with a poem that I wrote for one of the contests years ago, and I forget what happened. I got disqualified, but I'm not sure exactly why. And I don't have any lingering resentment about it, but the poetry contest is a lot of fun, but I might have been, I don't know. Dave Densmore implied that I was too professional. I'm like, what? So anyway, here we go. The line was, you might be missing fish. So if your spouse is touting tofu and your doc says no more cheese, and that steak, that's just an avenue to arterial disease, and it seems that you don't recognize even one thing on your dish, and you feel like you were missing out, you might be missing fish. And if your electrolytes are dimming, and your omega's down to 2, and you can barely drag yourself upstream to do what you gotta do, be it rampant speculation and rank hypothesis, if your cylinders are missing, well, you might be missing fish. And if you've been corralled by herds of vegans, and each one has a beef, and you've had it right up to the gills, and you're craving some relief, what might be the sole solution might be 6 or 8 big spliffs. What you need is some sushi shish kebab. Yeah, you might be missing fish. Now, there's a dumbing down of America from sea to windy plain, but where I'm from, we think that fish goes right straight to your brain. So for your SAT or your poetry or anything you wish, to be sure that you're not missing out, do not be missing fish. I was noticing one day, even though I live next to a thriving fishing port in Point Judith, that it's really hard to get locally caught fish. The market near my house, we were laughing today, I mean, they got all the Chinese frog legs you'd ever want and wacky stuff, but you can't get any local cod or anything like that at all. Where I am, it all goes in a truck and goes down to Fulton Fish Market in New York, and if it ever gets back to us, it's about 4 or 5 days later. So, what really kicked me off, since I live alone, I figured, I'm in the store, I'm gonna buy some sardines, who cares? I pick up the can, I look at it, and it says product of Thailand. Nope. So, I got home and this song kind of popped out. I know it's early, but it's got sort of a sing-along chorus. Now, I grew up here in a New England fishing town, and if you want to go fishing, well, you left it too late. And now all you can buy here is sardines from Thailand. I wouldn't make the cat eat them. I wouldn't use them for bait. And it's hey, Turaladio, hey, Turali. Let's have a drink for all the fish in the sea. And it's hey, Turaladio, hey, Turaloo. You know, they just want to put all those fish in some zoo. Now I wish I could live like a codfish in Newfoundland, protected as if I was raised in a cage where no one could poke me or net me or hook me, and I could swim at my pleasure till I died of old age. And it's hey, Turaladio, hey, Turalee, let's have a drink for all the fish in the sea. And it's hey, Turaladio, hey, Turaloo. They want to just put all those fish in some zoo. You know, they closed that last cannery up near the border. They said that all those cheap imports had just crippled their sales. So now it's load those anchovies on top of your pizza, boys. 'Cause now all the sardines, they're just food for the whales. And it's hey, Turaladio, hey, Turalee, let's have a drink for all the fish in the sea. And it's hey, Turaladio, hey, Turaloo, they just want to put all those fish in some zoo. You know, I grew up here in a New England fishing town, but if you want to go fishing, well, you're about 10 years too late. Now it's just tuna from China and sardines from Sardinia. You know, I wouldn't make the cat eat them. I wouldn't use them for bait. I live in an area around Narragansett Bay where there's still a pretty large presence of native people, but a lot of the tribes have gone, the small tribes. One of the tribes was the Secana-Quonset tribe, and they were destined for obscurity until the Second World War came along and was developed a structure that was sort of loosely named after the tribe, which became the Quonset hut. And it's funny because it's very much reminiscent of the longhouses that the Algonquin people used to build years ago. So there's, of course, around me quite a few Quonset huts, you know. So one day I said, well, I'm going to write a testimonial to the Quonset hut. So here we go. You know, it seems to me that your trailer homes, they can mostly draw tornadoes, and your little shack down on the beach could just float off in a hurricane-o. So keep your palm tree hut down at Sanibel or your igloo up in Nome, because I'm looking at a Quonset hut. Now, there's a real well-rounded home. And you might not have an inkling at the onset, but you can make yourself a real good life in a plain old Quonset hut. Now, I don't need some fancy spread from some architect's exotica. I just want the kind of place you can put up in Antarctica. And if it seems sometimes that the pace of life has gotten pretty hectic and you haven't been real comfortable since Dylan went electric, and if the cabin up in the piney woods just gives you thorough heebie-jeebies, well, you might need the kind of place you can get surplus from the Seabees. You know, they build so flimsy anymore, your house could almost fold up. Well, you're better off with the kind of place that the weather can't get hold of. So, look around for a real short wife so the kids don't get too tall. And don't be surprised if all the pictures kind of hang out from the wall. And you might not have an inkling at the onset, but you can't hear diddly when it rains down in a Quonset hut. And I know you think this piece of work is mostly nonsense, but you'll be galvanized when next you see that lowly Quonset hut. So John Broderick was kind enough to assemble a songbook of pieces of music that people have done at this event over the years. So I had to hurriedly relearn a couple of ones that were in the book, and I hadn't done in a while. So I'm going to do this song. It's a horrible song. I should be ashamed of myself. What? Nah, this is even worse than Frederick's. You know, terrible things happen to people. People expire. There's great sadness and lamentation in the background of this song. But should you find yourself laughing at any points during the song, don't think less of yourself. It actually happened on a swordfish trip out of Point Judith up to the Grand Banks years ago. It happened on Linda Greenlaw's boat. It happened on and it happened on a tuna trip out of Coos Bay. Oh, it happened on a scallop boat. I got the idea for this song. We were listening to the radio, and this bunch of guys on a scallop boat out of New Bedford say, hey, we just found one of our guys cold in the bunk. What should we do? So the Coast Guard tells them, go back to Fall River, steam up to the Public Health Service Hospital in Fall River and drop them off. And they're like, the hell is that? You know, we just got out here, so. You know, sometimes you can't win for trying. You couldn't find a fish if fish were flying, and all the nets and cables that just get knotted. And the engine runs like the diesel's clotted, and nothing goes like you think it oughta. You just get bag on bag of water till you think you'd have died and got up to heaven if you could just get a job down to 7-Eleven. Well, it was wind and rain, freezing up hard. We had 3 sea robins and a 7-inch cod, taking on water and losing the rudder, and the dinged up prop made the whole boat shudder. We were halfway done, hauling it back, and the cable let go with a thunderous crack, and it took out the cook as he stood at the rail, kind of scrambled his eggs, dead as a nail. Well, we all stood around with our thumb in our butt. We had to do something, but we didn't know what, and though we were looking kind of under the weather, there was some of us thought he'd never look better. Well, we had fuel and ice to pay, and we just steamed out yesterday. He was a real good hand, and we sure would miss him. We iced him down and kept on fishing. Yeah, if you were to say we were cold, well, I'd agree, but no colder than him near a bicod to thee, and it's quiet and peaceful under the decking. And he couldn't say too much about it, I reckon, and while he was chilling and lying down there, we all took a vote, you know, he should make his whole share, and everyone thought it was a pretty good deal, seeing as how we had to cook our own meal. Well, we had fuel and ice to pay, and we just steamed out yesterday. He was a real good hand, and we sure would miss him. We iced him down and kept on fishing. This is where my accordion player would usually take a break. I can hear him, you can't. But I found myself one night saying something I never thought I would say, which was, gee, I kind of miss my accordion player. You know, it took us a while to finish that trip. Back at the dock to give us some lip, and all the coasties came down to see what was about, and no one to help us at lumping them out. Said that we had no respect for the dead. Should have been glad we didn't gut them and head them. And when we went to go fishing again, don't you know, we couldn't get anyone willing to go. Well, we had fuel and ice to pay, and we just steamed out yesterday. He was a real good hand, and we sure would miss him. We iced him down and kept on fishing. Yeah, when you got fuel and ice to pay, and you just got out yesterday, you might feel bad, you might miss them, but when you're into fish, you got to keep on fishing. We were laughing this morning. I'll let you go with this one, which is, again, I should be ashamed of myself, but I sit around and make up these kind of wacky poems sometimes. And this one, I'm never going to go any further in this poem than I've gotten in this one. My hip joints are grinding. Both knees are trash. And I'm popping more pills than old Johnny Cash. I got gray grizzled whiskers and a good bedhead swirl, but I'm still out there chatting up 20-year-old girls. So thank you, that's my shot.
Excuse me, but do you have just a moment? Come over here. I just wanted to ask why you're going to the Fisher Poets gathering.
Because it's a fabulous place to come to in the middle or end of February every year.
So you've gone more than this time?
Third year, yes, yes.
Is there any highlights?
The whole thing is a highlight. It's a joy. Yeah, it's really a fun place to be. Every time I come here, I get more and new creative inspiration from the folks that are up on stage.
Are you a writer?
No,
A fisherman?
at one time, no longer. Where are you from? I'm from Washington. I live up in Seattle area, but I lived in Cordova for many years.
Okay, well, thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Enjoy.